Greetings there everybody, welcome back to the Eden Audio YouTube channel. My name's Adam and I am once again your host for this little presentation that I'm going to prepare for you, where I'm discussing the renovation of an old garage that was here when we bought this property. Now, to start off with, the planning permission and building permission, etc., etc., was all applied for by the previous owner, because this property is actually known as what you would call a coach house. What that means is that the house is actually not on the first floor, because the first floor consists of 3 garages. Then the living space is above those 3 garages. So what the previous owner actually did is, because they had quite a few children, they needed to expand this property, which was originally just a 1-bedroom apartment, and they expanded the house into a 4-bed. One of the things they did was to do the garage. As I say, obviously the original garage was quite clearly for parking your car, and they sort of made it into a kind of laundry room and a kind of little bar. The floor, they carpeted it, but it was pretty awful, to be honest with you. It was a horrible looking, greeny black looking carpet, and the underlay on it was some atrocious looking rubber stuff. It really didn't look very nice at all. The walls were poorly painted, and it was a little bit mouldy in the corners, so I had to sort out the guttering on the outside to stop that from leaking and clear out all the leaves that were in the gutter. So hopefully that will cure the problem of it being a little bit damp and mouldy in here. As I say, it wasn't a particularly nice garage, but it is what it is, and eventually we got around to converting it, or renovating it should I say, because I needed more space here at Eden Audio. And this is sort of the end result that you can see here in front of you. It's been a long slog. The whole process has probably taken about 8 or 9 months to get everything done, because as I explained in previous videos, here in the UK you do tend to have to wait for tradesmen to come. And the first thing that we actually did was to change that French window that you can see there. Now, the original French window, bizarrely, was actually installed the wrong way around. There you can see the garden and everything with all the washing hanging out. It's such a beautiful day in here in England at the moment. It's unusually warm and unusually dry, but I'm not moaning, because it's nice to have a lovely warm summer and no rain for a few weeks. So we're all in the UK currently enjoying this fantastic weather. But that's not why you came here. You came here not to look at the weather or hear about the weather. You came here to look about this garage renovation project. And as I say, there was a French window installed in there, as you will see in one of my earlier uploads of the French window. And it was a small French window, and like I said, it was installed the wrong way around. So to allow more light in, we installed this rather beautiful looking French window that you see there. It's much bigger in size, much better made. We chose chrome handles, and the outside it's in anthrite, if that's the right way you say that colour, you know, that sort of dark grey colour, anthrite I think it's called. So that looks really, really nice, whichever way you look from it, from over on the inside or the outside, it looks really, really nice and smart. So we had to wait about 3 to 4 months for the fella to come in and install that for us, and as I say, that was the first thing that we actually did in this renovation project. And then the next thing we did was to call it in a carpenter. Again, it was quite hard work. People not turning up, people not getting back to us, asking for quotes, nobody would turn up. So eventually we did manage to get someone. And what he did, because this garage, as I say, there is actually a property next door. But what there actually was, the original garage was one breeze block. Then I guess there would have been a cavity, and then there would have been the next door neighbour's wall. So what the previous owner did, they just put plasterboard on that one brick, and that was about it really. So I didn't really feel that it would be particularly thick enough to stop sound from penetrating from one property to the next one. So according to the carpenter to soundproof that wall for me, I think he did it okay. I'm not 100% convinced that he's done it 100% correctly, but I think it's good enough anyway. But in the back of my mind, he hasn't done it 100% correctly. I'm not really going to go into massive detail of why I think that is the case, but generally I think the lad's done a decent enough job. What he did, just to recap, again you can see it in previous uploads that I made, was he built the frame, stud frame, slightly away from the wall so it wasn't in contact with the wall, because that's not what you want. You don't want the stud frame being in contact with the wall. So he built the stud frame away from the wall, then filled it with rock wool, a special product for trapping sound, a sound absorber kind of product from rock wool. I don't remember the exact name off the top of my head. So that came to about 10 centimetres in depth, and then he put the the plasterboard on top of that. So I think more or less he did it correctly. I'm not 100% sure that he made everything absolutely 100% sort of air sealed, so sound, as we know, travels through properties like air does. If there's like a little gap anywhere, the sound will manage to penetrate that little gap and go through into the next property. So kind of in the back of my mind, I don't think he's 100% sealed everything absolutely correctly. While he was here, an electrician came and he installed some new electrical points. The point you see there, there's two there. There's another two obviously behind the washing machine. Now there's a bit of story behind the washing machine. As I said, the previous owner used this as a laundry room. So unfortunately there's a washing machine there because that has been plumbed into this property. There's sort of no other place where you can put it. So that's rather unfortunate to have a washing machine stuck in the middle of your listening home cinema room. But again, it is what it is. Getting back to what the electrician did, as I say, there's 2 points behind there. Obviously, there's a washing machine that connects into one of them. There's 2 points there, and just moving along to my right there's another 2 points. So in total, I've got 6, which really should be enough. If not, I can use an extension block or whatever. Unfortunately, as I just spin around there, it would have been nice if there was some electrical points also on this wall, but there isn't. There is actually, in this little storage room here, there is electric power behind there. So it might be worth at some time in the future maybe putting one down there. I don't know, probably not, but there is that possibility to do that. And also the electrician, he installed an outside power point. Again, the previous owner, what they did, they ran that up there at the top there is an electrical cable. The reason that is there, as I say, the original owners actually had a hot tub outside, and when I bought the property I didn't really fancy having a hot tub. It's not the kind of thing I use, so they moved that hot tub with them. When they moved, there was a cable left there, there was a hole in the wall. The electrician came in, installed that cable and installed an outside electrical point. So there we are. Up to this point we've taken about 6 months or so to get this far. As I say, he also, while he was here, installed this beautiful acoustic should I say, slating, acoustic slating, not plating, slating. These are really, really nice, to be honest with you. I really am pleased with how this actually turned out. It doesn't soundproof your property. They say it has soundproofing properties, but honestly it doesn't. As I said in the previous upload that I made, when I chose this one, if you can see at the side there, I chose the thickest depth possible. If I just show you there with my finger, if you can see there, you can see how deep it is. And I thought it would be good to get a deep slated effect because I thought it would act quite good as being a diffuser for behind the loudspeakers. It's a bit of a pain, as I say, having that washing machine there because it doesn't quite allow me to get the loudspeakers as wide apart as what I would have liked to have done. But again, unfortunately it's there and I have to live with it. Also, the carpenter, while he was here, he installed the skirting boards for me. I wanted to go for a kind of a high skirting board because the other ones in the property are a little bit lower. But I really, really liked the look of something that was a little bit taller. So he installed all the skirting there for me. See, that comes around here as well. The skirting around there. He did a good job. It wasn't 100% perfect. There's a few things I had to sort of finish off myself, which was a bit of a pain in the backside. I thought he would have done that, but he didn't. Some big gaps in it, sort of a little bit untidy around these bottom edges. I think he was in a bit of a hurry to get off. And I say it was a little bit untidy, a little bit annoying, but so I got a little bit of filler and filled in myself. He also, get in focus, come on. He installed that door there. Again, it wasn't one I exactly asked for. I did ask for a Howden's and he installed this Wicks. It looks very nice, to be honest with you, but it's like a piece of paper. It's very, very light. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but the other doors in the property have got a bit more weight to them. This is like a piece of paper. It's like got a honeycomb type of filling in it, and there's not really much in there. But it does look nice, and I chose this chrome handle to go on the door. As I say, that matches the chrome handles there that you see on the French windows. Also, the electrician, going back to the electrician once again before I forget the work he did, he made a few holes in the wall, in the ceiling, which was a little bit annoying, but he couldn't find where the beams were. It's so hard to focus the camera. As I said, the spotlights on the ceiling, there's 3 of those. I didn't want hundreds of them. I don't particularly like bright lights. I do like a sort of a soft, cosy kind of look. So I'll probably add some kind of light in as well afterwards. So as I say, we're probably up to about 7-8 months now since we first sort of decided to get this little project underway, and here we are. As I say, getting back to the carpenter again, I don't think he finished it off fantastically, to be honest with you. You can see the finish, as I say, in some previous uploads that I've made, and yeah, the finish, it wasn't brilliant. He sort of filled in the holes with where the screws were, where he applied the plasterboard to the walls. And me and the decorator, because I asked the decorator to come around and have a look as well, and me and the decorator both felt it didn't look fantastic. And because it didn't look fantastic, I decided to ask a plasterer to come in. So a plasterer came in. It was another expense I wasn't particularly planning, but he obviously needed paying because he wasn't going to do it for free. A young lad came in, Joe, his name was, Joe Brown, came in, did a really, really nice little job. So that wall there that you see in front of me, that wall there, that little section, obviously floor to ceiling, and that little section there, he plastered. So I had to wait a couple of weeks before the painter and decorator come, so that gave the plaster a good while to dry out. It's remarkable, amazing how much the plaster changes when you get plaster. And it's really sort of a dark brown when it first gets applied, then after a while it sort of turns into a more pinky colour. So he came in, did a good job, and then, as I say, the only thing I had to wait for now, and the progress was being made slowly but surely, was waiting for the decorator to come. The decorator came. It's a sort of a neighbour, lives in the next road. He came over, gave me a price, and I was to supply the paints, and I spent absolutely ages, as I said again in the previous upload I've made, about what colour paint I could have, because you really are spoilt for choice, and it makes it rather confusing because there's just so much choice and so many beautiful colours to choose from. I was thinking about what's the name of them, Benjamin Moore. I've used Lick also in this property, which is a very nice paint, to be honest with you. It's quite hard to apply, but Lick is a very nice paint. But in the end I decided to go for the famous Dulux brand. The one there, that wall there in front of you, the colour you see in front of you there is called Ancient Sandstone, and that is from their top of the range Heritage. And to the side, it's always hard to get this colour in focus, to be honest with you. You can see the difference between the two colours there. They're sort of complementary colours, and this is a very popular colour like Magnolia, but this is actually from the Dulux Trade Diamond range, and this colour is Gardenia. It's a very nice colour, so it's probably a safe colour, but it makes the room look very open and very spacious, and it lets a lot of light in. You don't want colours, or I didn't particularly want colours that were loud. I do tend to go for a sort of more conservative type of look and colours and warmth. I want something that feels nice and warm and cosy. So I didn't want something that was exuberant and loud, and yeah, this is the colour I decided to go for, Gardenia, along with, as I say, they're rather nice. I think even the decorator was quite pleased at how nice the Dulux Heritage Ancient Sandstone came out. All the trim was painted with Johnson's, I can't remember what the name of it was, Johnson's Satin something it's called. I went for satin because I prefer satin over gloss. I don't like gloss at all. I find it very old-fashioned type of finish. So probably sort of the older generation tend to use gloss. It's better for protection. If you're sort of banging things into your skirting boards or your doors continually, then probably gloss would be a better choice. But as I say, I don't like shiny paint finishes, so I decided to go for the rather elegant and smooth looking satin finish. As I said, the Dulux wall paint, the difference between the Heritage range and the Trade Diamond range is that the Diamond range is more scrubbable. So if you've got children with dirty little fingers and they put their dirty little fingers all over the wall, then I'd recommend you go for the Diamond Trade range, because it'll be a little bit more easier to clean than the Heritage range. So if you do decide to go for the Heritage range, make sure you haven't got dirty dogs or dirty children or dirty adults, people with dirty fingers or whatever, or they write on your wall with their pens and crowns and pencils, because it's going to be very difficult to get it off. So you have been warned. But I must say the finish of the Heritage range is stunning. Even the painter said how beautifully smooth it is. It's like velvet. I've seen people describe it as a sort of velvety finish, and I can agree with that. It does look buttery smooth and very nice and relaxing. I didn't want to go for grey. I've explained that in many a video I've made. I didn't want to go for grey or silver. I find it very a little bit tiring, not very tiring, a little bit tiring, and everybody for some bizarre reason wants to go for grey or silver. I don't mind grey or silver carpet, but that grey flooring, oh, I just don't like it at all. It's just so tiring to look at, so cold and emotionless, where, as I say, in this room I sort of try to keep the room looking sort of a cosy, welcoming kind of room. So we're getting closer and closer to the end of this project. Finally, after a good now 9 odd months I think we're coming up to. And the final thing to do was to have someone come in and do the floor. Again, a bit of head scratching, bit of research. And in the end I can say I went for a 10mm underlay. So obviously when you walk on the carpet it feels nice under your foot. It feels nice and bouncy. If you've got a 8mm or 6mm underlay, it feels very hard under your foot, not got much bounce to it. So I went for 10mm foam underlay, sort of one that's got good acoustic properties, good tog number, and this beautiful thick carpet. The colour of it's mocha something, I can't remember exactly what it's called, mocha it's called, where, if you know the Spanish language, mocha is sort of the word for coffee, kind of coffee. So the kind of browny coffee colour, and again I think it looks pretty nice, if I must say so. Very elegant looking colour. And for the floor, because again I've got that washing machine there, and obviously I've got an entrance there to the patio doors, and we're going to be coming in and out into the garden to hang out laundry, etc. Obviously our feet are going to get a little bit wet and muddy when we come in and out, and I didn't think it would be a good idea to have carpets there. So I decided to go for this luxury vinyl flooring. The painter said it might rip, but I spoke to the floorer and he said it's thick enough and it should withstand sort of the washing machine if you ever need to move the washing machine because it breaks or needs replacing or whatever. It won't rip the flooring. Like, again, it's amazing how much flooring, the look of flooring has advanced, because when you used to get flooring, let's say 15-20 years ago, laminate flooring, it used to be tacky, horrible looking stuff. But that is not the case anymore. I said, I'm really pleased with this. It's quite surprising how nice that looks. Very nice indeed. So the guy's just got to come back, as you can probably see underneath there. If you go down low, there's like a little gap. Well, just ask him if he could come back and sort of put some filler in there, just so you can see down there. If I go down, or I'll go down and I won't be able to get back up again. Oh, the joys of getting old. Absolutely wonderful it is. Bend down and you can't bend back up again. There you go. As I say, there's a little gap there, a couple of little gaps under there, etc. They'll just like to be filled. And because the underlaying carpet's so thick, we now can't close the door, so it needs to come back, take the door off, take a couple of millimeters off of the bottom of that door so that we can open it and close it. Goodness me, there's a lot of flies around today. God, you open the windows and millions and billions of bugs fill the room. Blooming flies everywhere. It's the problem with the summer in England. It's very humid. My goodness, there's so many insects and bugs absolutely everywhere. Horrible little things. So there we are. I'm very pleased with it. Almost done, almost finished. As I said again previously, whatever you think it's going to cost you a lot more. There's always little jobs, little expenses that you need to add on what you think it's going to cost you. So sort of add on 25-30% of what you think it's going to cost. Otherwise you're going to be in for a bit of a shock. It's cost quite a bit of money. It hasn't cost like a fortune, as I say, because the garage was already there, the walls were there, the floors were there, etc. But money's money, and it still cost a little bit to get it done. But at the end of the day, it's worth it. I've got a nice room now where I can do my demonstrations of my product. where you can come and listen to some great loudspeakers, some great hi-fi audio products, and I'm probably going to put some sort of little home cinema system in there. So I'm not a home cinema nut. There's not really many great films made these days, so I wouldn't spend a fortune on AV setups, but I'll probably put some TV there. I don't know whether to go for an LG OLED or Hisense TV. The reason I'm thinking of Hisense is because I've got one upstairs, had it 8 years, and it's been absolutely flawless. The picture's not the best in the world, but as I say, it's been reliable, affordable, so it'll probably be between LG and Hisense for the TV. Get some sort of AV amplifier, probably Yamaha, Denon, something like that, and have a basic 5.1, 5.2 home cinema setup. So there you go, there's our garage conversion. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you've enjoyed me listening to me waffling on for almost half an hour. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. If you've got any comments, don't forget, leave them down below. I always pretty much answer everything. And don't forget to give us a like if you can. Thanks a lot, everyone. Take care. Have a great day. Enjoy this weather, because I think it's going to get even warmer. Thanks, everyone. Take care. Have a great day. And see you soon.